everybody. Welcome to our reintroduction of BPI. Thank you for joining us. We are so excited to have y'all here. Just a little housekeeping things. We are doing this. It's a recording. It's a live recording because you guys are here, but we are recording it and then we'll air it later. So if we could just silence our phones, our watches, all those good things. If you do need to use the restroom, there is a key up here at the front desk, and out the back door to your left, there is 2 doors that you can choose from. Just don't lock the key in the bathroom because then we are all screwed. So, but that's just all of that. We are here in our wonderful coffee shop, Soulful Sips, that we just opened up this year. Yes, woo! You can see Miss V. Lynn right here is the magical, wonderful person who got the thing and the ship running. We have a lot of staff in here. We got our duelists over here, Michelle and Kim. We got Mr. Jeff. We got Eric back here in the back. He's part of our Black Family Connection team. So thank you. Do we have any other staff?
We got Asia.
Asia, yes, I see you. I think Sean was here somewhere. Jada, our TWC manager, is back here somewhere. So yes, thank you. So if you guys have interacted with BPI at all, you've probably seen my face. I am the manager of the Family Connect, but I do all the community events and all the things that you see us in the front. I do a lot of lives and things to promote our stuff. But today we're so excited because we are introducing this 3-part series. It is Owning Our Narrative. It's leading up to our gala, which is going to be next year, 2026. We will announce the date and all that. Well, I'll tell you, it's May 29th. So you go ahead and put that on your calendar. You guys see the little signs around the table. We have flyers back there. May 29th. Put that on your calendar. We are having our gala. It's going to be amazing. It's like the Black Met Gala of Portland. So, if you come to our gala, you got to get dressed. So you have time to plan, please. No half-stepping. We come sequined out. Yes. The men come tailored, okay? So it is a thing. You have time. So, but leading up to that, Dr. Bahia had this idea of re-engaging our community, our funders, our stakeholders, to kind of really get you guys excited about what we do at BPI, kind of give you some more information, really get you guys familiar with what we do. A lot of you guys know BPI, you know that we're here, but you don't really know what we do and how we're changing and how we're shifting, especially with all the things going on. So we are doing a 3-part series, Owning Our Narrative, which is going to be the theme for our gala, but today is the reintroduction, and we will be chatting with Dr. Bahia about a few things. Before I start, we do want to shout out that we are doing this showcase of emerging chefs powered by Kitchen Killer, and we've got Chef Aaliyah from Chef Lee's Catering. She's the one that put together this food. We've got the amazing fellas back here doing some drinks that they've curated for you, and of course there is a coffee-esque drink because we're in a coffee shop. So thank you to them. Each event will be highlighting one of the chefs that work under Kitchen Killer, so they will be putting out their best of the best, and then of course we'll have some amazing Kitchen Killer at the gala. So it's kind of our way of reuniting and re-engaging everybody in this process. So anyways, right now, we've got the amazing 25 years plus experience. We're talking doctor because she just got her letters, okay? So we don't want to put that out there. But you are a licensed therapist, been working with research and data around equity and social justice and around the historical traumas that we do, because you are also an executive consultant for Joy DeGruy Publications, which we all know Dr. Joy DeGruy wrote Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and we've been utilizing a lot of her work to do our work. The PhD is in social work research, so we are data people up in BPI. We have research, we have evidence to talk about what we do and how it works. Not to mention, I know a lot of y'all probably have purchased or seen or smelt or whatever. She's the founder, the curator of Bahia Honey, which is like this beautifully crafted body care, like there's oils and body butters and scrubs and shampoos and all the things, beard stuff, I'm everything. So if she's gonna get you together, she's gonna get you together head from toe, inside and out. Y'all better holler at Bahia. But of course, she is our executive director for Black Parent Initiative, been incorporating mental health and all the things that she does here, and has been a vital part of how we've shifted and changed and came back alive, because we were going through some things, right?
A few things.
So with that being said, I know that you came in late in the game of how BPI got started, but from what you know and what you've gathered, because you are a Portland native, well, you're close enough to Portland native. When BPI opened its doors, like, what was the mission? What was the need that we were trying to fix?
I think, and I do think that it's important to acknowledge where things come from, right? And Charles McGee had an idea. He was a student, and he saw some of the challenges he was having navigating the education system. And he was really good at promoting the idea that parents need a space to be cultivated so that they are able to advocate for their children, emotionally, socially, and specifically academically. And so part of it was like the goal that if we help the parents, we're helping the kids. So that through line has kind of carried to where we are today. We've just expanded that vision into different spaces. But I think initially it was really, we want to make sure that Black families can thrive here in Portland and Black children can actually be educated in a way that ensures their success.
Okay. So with that said, what are the programs of BPI and what do they do?
Okay, well, BPI, we kind of have a progressive process, right? We have this philosophy that we want you to be born to learn, ready to learn, and so we start pre-birth. So we shouting out to our doulas, our lactation folks, to say that children cannot be bathed in cortisol, stress hormone, in utero if they're going to have brain development and be able to function on the outside. And then once they are born, they can't be in an environment where there's tons of stressors, right? Lactation, everything is impacted by the level of stress and your ability to kind of navigate your environment. And so we have our Sacred Roots doula and lactation program that starts you off well, and we have a warm handoff from there to our Together We Can program, which is a home visiting program that also helps parents navigate developmental markers, making sure the children are reaching every marker that they need to in order to be preschool ready. And so that program goes to 18 months to 4.5, I believe. And then we have our Sawubona program. Sawubona is a Zulu word that means I see you, you are important to me, I value you, and you're important to me. And we're in, I think, 4 schools officially, but 5 schools in Portland. And we have our education impact coordinators who assist parents in making sure their children are able to thrive in school. And then, of course, we have unofficially our ACOMA, which is the Adinkra symbol for heart, mental health support, and that's really wellness and culturally affirming services. You know, you can be very culturally isolated here in Portland. You can go all day and not see anyone, and if you do see someone, it's not guaranteed they're going to smile at you. So we really want to make sure that we're supporting the health and well-being, mental health and well-being of our families as well. So I do a free Monday night wellness class on Zoom. Anyone can join every Monday. And we try to do other events in the community that are culturally affirming, leave children and families feeling centered. And of course, last but not least, our Black Family Connect program. We used to be the holder of resources, but as you know, all the changing environments politically and whatnot, we don't hold a lot of resources, but parents still need to find them, and we don't want them knocking on tons of closed doors. And so we are the holder of those connections. And so not only are we able to kind of direct people to where they can go, but also we provide some amazing resource, I guess, banked kind of events where you can come to our Black Lit is Lit event, you can come to our summer day, fun day, family day in the park.
Family fun day.
Family fun day, you know. We try to create spaces where people can connect, and if we don't have it, Lee tries to connect you to someone who does, so.
We're the connection piece. We're like the hub for Black folks.
Okay.
And we got a website that we're being redesigned right now, so there'll be some really great, amazing connections and resources that you can actually access through our website. So that'll be great. We'll be launching that in December, so keep an eye out. But okay, so with everything going on politically, race, environment, education, all the things, what is one of the toughest things that we're helping families navigate right now?
I think on the large scale is anti-Blackness. It is permeating every aspect of our lives right now. It's like an anti-Black campaign, right? And so having families feel secure and affirmed in environments where Blackness is not only not affirmed, but it's almost like it feels like it's hated, right? You bring up Blackness. If any of you were at the school board meeting, there was tons of anti-Blackness in the space. All the questions, all the criticisms, all of the scrutiny that no one else seems to be subjected to, and except for when it comes to us. And so I think navigating your health, navigating your children's education, navigating your work environments, all while being Black. I had a journal I used to write while Black, just things that happened to me while I was Black. And that's what I think is really important. I think critically important is the education situation for us, and advocating for our children to be able to be educated well.
So how do we, I guess, because the education piece, is national, but also we feel it very deeply locally. So how do we help parents navigate that system for their children?
I think that we have to be proactive. I think a lot of times we're reactive in this city. So we send our children to school and we hope that people treat them well, and we try to get them to behave as best they can in a system that does not support them. I think one of the things I'm trying to really push for, there's a couple things. We don't have access to a lot of information. The Department of Education in Oregon has lists of all of the problematic teachers. They have lists of all of the schools that discipline our children. They have all the information. They don't want to give it out. So that's number one, putting pressure on them to give it to us, so that we can highlight and shame those who are mistreating our children. And I also think that TSPC, the Teachers Standards and Practices program that many teachers graduate from, they don't have a bias test. And I feel like there should be exiting with some testing, because the least qualified, the least experienced, youngest teachers who graduate out of there, mostly young white women, go directly to our schools where our children are. And so they get the least prepared folks who are the least invested in them. And I think that they should have to prove that they can do that without harm before they get unleashed into our community. So I think there's some things that we could do organizing-wise to hold them accountable based on the data. Every year, PPS comes out with a report that says, yes, we are over disciplining your children by 12 times everybody else. And I'm like, is this like an annual celebration? Like, we get it every year. And so I think we just need to start finding creative ways to publicly shame them until they do right by us. Just
that part. What are some of the biggest what ifs that our families are fearing right now? Biggest what ifs.
Oh, what ifs. I mean, for a while it was, what if I don't get my SNAP, right? What if I can't feed my family? I think the holidays is a huge thing. People feel a lot of pressure during the holidays. I think reimagining what is most meaningful to us is really important, because the what ifs have a lot to do with finances. And also just job security. A lot of people I know who are looking for jobs aren't even getting interviews. So I don't know if people are putting out fake jobs or they're not, but people are having a hard time securing positions right now. So what A livable wage. And also the cost of living here is so high that even though people celebrate our minimum wage compared to other places, the cost of living is astronomical. So it's like, how do you're celebrating this minimum wage that's higher than like maybe $7 or $8 in Alabama, but you can buy a whole house in Alabama. You can't, it's much more difficult here. So I think the what ifs have to do with, what if I can never own a home? I can't create any, wealth to pass on to my kids, What if I stay in this job too long? So there's a lot of what ifs.
And you mentioned funding, as that's an issue, that we lost a lot of funding as far as being able to provide resources, but just given the current political climate and how they're cutting everything, the attacks on DEI and all those things, how are we navigating staying true to what we do as a Black-led organization serving Black families, and then how do we incorporate trying to get more funding to be able to do these things?
So I think
donate to us and come to our gala.
Oh, that's right. Donate. Subliminal, but not subliminal. I think we have to be creative. I think when you're stressed out, you can't be creative. You can't innovate. I think what happens to us is when we start getting depleted financially, we start talking about things about what we can't do, what we won't be able to do, what's probably going to happen. And that really when we talked about opening this coffee shop, right? There was a lot of pushback when I suggested we do this. And I don't think it was because people just wanted to hate on the idea. I think it's because there's a scarcity mentality because things have been taken from us. And it's like, you're going to step into this another space, and nothing is going to be taken from us, And so I think we have to start thinking about what is possible. What is possible? We have some folks back here. I went to your event, so was it Returning Black to Love?
Black to Love.
Right?
Shout out
and
David Jefferson and Keela.
Shout out to you. And one of the things that I really loved about your presentation was you were talking about what is possible, right? I came in here to coffee shop the other day, and I had two people arguing about who is most shat upon, black men or black women. And they were going back about the different things that they both have, And I said, this isn't really productive. We're both shat upon. So why don't we start thinking about the ways that we band together and really create opportunities for each other, right? Really rooting for people to win, when you can delight in the success of your neighbor, even if you're failing, that's like healed behavior. I've been thinking about this lately. It's unhealed behavior and healed behavior, right? And so I've had a couple things happen this last year where I was like, how could they do that to us? And I'm like, it's just unhealed behavior. It's unhealed behavior. Because then I'm not hating on you. I'm not saying that's why you're hating on us or you're lying or and it's just, I think finding more ways to do that with one another. And then creativity happens. I think I'll take the Early Childhood Equity Collaborative. Early childhood money is like this tiny in terms of education, but then culturally specific education is like a sliver. It's like a little line. And we were fighting for it, right? Fighting for our black children need this, these people need this. Native Americans families like, we need this. Latino families like, but we speak Spanish and we're undocumented. Like, everybody needs the money. But we're scrapping for all of the crumbs, just like, give me my crumbs, give me my crumbs. And they're crumbs. So first, let's look at why they're crumbs. So we get together and we develop the Early Childhood Equity Collaborative. And together we had a lot more political power to say communities of color need this. And so the little sliver got a little bit bigger, and all of us got more coming together than we would have gotten just scraps. And I think that scarcity mentality is what keeps us from doing that collaborative work. There is no them and us, it's just us. And so we have to combine more. That's why so many of the funders are looking at collaborative grants. Like, how are you coming together to make sure that everybody gets fed in some way, right?
Right.
I think about this, I hear in Portland a lot, crabs in the barrel, it's just crabs in the barrel. And I'm like, well, first of all, crabs don't naturally exist in a barrel. Somebody put them there. And they're trying to get out, so when you're trying to get out, you sometimes, out of necessity, you're climbing on other people. So we have to get free. And then you don't see crabs doing that on the beach. So I think that we have to think about the situations that we're in are not our own doing, and recognizing that if you win and you love me, you're going to make sure I win.
That part.
Right? My friend Maud, you guys know Syncopated Ladies, the tap dancers.
Yeah.
So my friend Maud, one of her favorite sayings is, "Friends don't let friends dream alone." And so if you're my friend, you're dreaming with me. And I think if you're in my community and you love me, you're going to dream with me.
That part. You mentioned the crabs in the barrel, the scarcity mentality, and a lot of that kind of stems from the post-traumatic slave syndrome that Dr. Joy DeGroot talks about. And if any of y'all had went to the symposium that we had recently, and there will be more, but you guys got to hear Dr. Joy talk about that a lot. And we utilize that thought process around understanding the historical context and how do we heal from that. So can you talk a little bit about how we implement that at BPI?
So we look at root causes. One of the things that I'm always challenging my staff too is to think innovatively. I'll see the little eye roll, you be like, but I think innovatively, because there's a root cause to every problem. There's a root to it. And a lot of nonprofits for years have been band-aiding existing problems. Like, this is happening, Band-Aid, this is happening, Band-Aid. And it starts to make you think that there's just the natural state of black people are always needing. But you have to look at the root cause of that. If you are constantly moved from place to place to place to place, the result of that, and it's statistically been proven, is structural violence, interpersonal violence. So when you look at what's happened in Portland, right? One of the fastest gentrified cities in the nation between 1990 and 2010 literally went from 90% black to 90% white. And where did those people go? And what did the injury that produced result in those communities? If we just blame it on the people, right? So one of the things that we do is, one, we use affirming language to talk about our community. We never use disparaging language to talk about our community. We don't say, oh, because we're underserved and underprivileged and underperforming and gaps and what other negative things they say. We say that we're emerging and we're beautiful and we're promising and we're innovative and we're creative. We're astonishing and we're, resilience. Yes, we are resilient, but we don't talk too much about that because we need to talk about how powerful we are. And I think affirming that has helped us a lot. And recognizing that people have forgotten their personal power. We talk about black, gifted, noble. Yeah. You are intrinsically noble. You have value without having to earn it. Our children and our families, they might not see a smile from the time they walk out their house to the time they get home. So we beam love and light. And beaming love and light does not cost you anything, but it does something in community. It gives life. Right? And so I think one of the ways that we're doing that is we are loving people. Our families don't feel rapport with us. No. They feel loved by us. And I think that that's new. I think that that's underrated. Just like good customer service, right? Good customer service is amazing. And so good service is underrated, and that's one of the ways that we're dealing with these unhealed behaviors we're seeing, is we combating it with love.
I love it. How do we show and teach our parents about collective healing?
Modeling. So I think, I had I tell stories. I'm sorry, I tell stories. I don't know how to tell you stuff without telling stories. So when I was working as a social worker at Morrison Child and Family Services, I had a client, who shall remain nameless, who was, the child was removed because the child was setting fires, and they felt like they couldn't keep the child safe, and they couldn't keep the child from setting fires, and so they'd removed the child, and so the child just been returned to the family, and I was trying to go through and just do everything right, and so because she felt comfortable with me, she said to me, I'm going to tell you because I know you won't think I'm an abuser. I was like, okay. She was like, because I hit my kids. I'm sorry. Now, technically this child is a ward of the state right now. You can't do corporal punishment with the child that belongs to the state. Even if it's your child, you're putting yourself in jeopardy of removal. So if I were to say, you can go, they can take your child for that, it would have ruined the relationship. I could have got beat up. All those things could happen. And so,
she's gonna be too indicated.
You know what I'm saying? I just can't tell people what to do with their kids. But what I told her was, I said, interesting. I was like, so most people say that, kids have to be hit. Yeah, because that's why you got all these kids in jail right now. That's why you got all these kids. And I said, there's plenty of people I know who went to jail who've been hit. Plenty of it. I've never had a spanking in my life. And I'm not out here robbing, right? I said, but tell me about the times that you typically hit your kids. What's going on? And she was like, it's mostly when they do something like dangerous. They run out in the street. And I'm like, no, you don't. I want them to remember, like, you listen. And I said, okay. So we talked a little bit more. And then I said, so, I think about it sometimes that, kids are not little adults. They're just their kids. And if I were across the street, and I'm a grown woman, big grown up, and I see you, and I'm like, hey, and I start to run across the street, and a semi-truck just, I'm like, oh my God, did you start slapping me? I would be like, whoa, what is that? Like, I was already scared. Like slapping me would freak me out, and I'm grown as a reaction, right? And she was like, huh. I said, I just think about that sometimes, So it's just, and later, she saw me with my kids at a swimming pool, and I didn't remember exactly how I knew her. I was like, how do I know this lady? And she was like, I just wanted to tell you that, that day we had that conversation, I never hit my kids again after we had that conversation. And she said, I just never was presented with an option. There was no option. And so I really appreciate that, because you didn't tell me to stop hitting my kids. You just made me think about that I could do things differently. And I think we have to give people permission to try new things and do new things. Ironically, 10 years later, I got a call from my daughter's school that she had got into it with this boy at the school, and I was like, oh no. And I get to the school, and Naomi was like, listen, this other little girl, she's a fighter, and he is spreading rumors. I'm about to get in a fight, so I had to get loud and be like, I didn't say that. So I get a Facebook message that was like, my son and your daughter had words, can you call me?
Oh.
I was like, oh man, it's gonna be like, meet me at the playground, like what is this? And so I called her and she said, my son said he got into it with your daughter, and I told him, that's Miss Bahia, she helped me get my kids back. You better not be messing with her daughter. So what I'm saying is it goes on and on and on and on. Same mom, right? So just, look, it could have saved me from an altercation, but just putting opportunities and stuff out there for people and helping them dream differently, I think is how I don't know. I don't even know what the question was anymore.
You answered it. You're good. We provide
That's why I'm
examples
telling
in
stories.
mind.
I don't know.
She usually comes back to the topic.
I mean, yeah, that time I don't know.
We talk about using the 3M model. Can you kind of, in layman's terms, what is that?
Okay. So the 3M model, we do an adaptation of the 3M model. 3M model is Dr. Joy DeGroo's multicultural, multisystemic, multidisciplinary model. It's 3 M's. And what that just basically focuses on is the idea that you identify someone's beliefs and what's influencing those beliefs. You look at how those beliefs shape their decisions and what outcomes come after that. And so we take people through a process of figuring out the root cause of those beliefs that lead to the decisions that lead to the outcomes. The reason we do that is because sometimes people don't know what's influencing those beliefs, right? She's not here somewhere, but I'll tell you about someone on our staff. Because, part of this is, first it is to know, and then it is to do. So if you ask someone, what do you want to change? Anybody in here have something they want to change?
Mm-hmm. Just a show of hands.
Show of hands? Okay. So everybody has something. I want you to think about that thing you want to change. That's your outcome. And I want you to think about the decision that you're making currently in your life that's not getting you that outcome. So one of our staff members said they wanted to lose weight. And I said, what decision are you making that's not helping you lose weight? And they said, I eat late at night. I said, okay. So what do you believe about eating late at night? And they said, it's a reward, I work hard, I get a treat, So that translates to you believe that eating late is good. So long as you believe that eating late is good, you're going to keep making the decision to eat late. You're not going to get the outcome that you say you want. So who's influencing your belief that eating late is good? And so she said, well, now that I think about it, my father used to work graveyard swing shift when I was a kid, and he would come home and he would bring me a treat, and it was a special thing between me and him. And maybe that's what's influencing my belief. And I said, so if you translate that belief to my father believed I deserve a reward, but then you change the reward to mean I get to feel good in my body, then maybe you won't make the decision to eat late because you deserve to feel good in your body, which is the reward you're saying that makes you feel like eating late is good. If you get to that point, you'll stop making that decision, you'll get to your outcome. And I think when we lay that out for parents, you can actually make this change happen by addressing all of these steps that lead to that outcome. And I think that's what I get excited about. That's what we're trying to measure. That's what my staff wants to punch me in the head about, because I'm like, stick to that. Because I feel like the more that we show that how change can happen, the more permission we're giving families to think and do things differently. And that's why I'm so geeked about it.
And it's a good thing because it translates into attendance for the kids at school. It turns into doing your homework or being well behaved and all the things that we express or that are expressed to us as disciplinary behavioral issues. We are able to address those in a positive way that, I would say fixes a problem, but it also reinforces some positive behavior changes. So it's a good way to translate it.
Yes,
like
it is
it. How are we tracking the improvements that we're making with the families, with the community? How are we tracking all that?
So we basically, when I say we had adapted the models, we've actually added on a continuous improvement tracking process, which just means you're getting better at getting better. We're not trying to fix the problem, we're trying to improve it. And so the way that we know that it's working is through what we call the change ideas. So you create a change idea with a parent, and you try it for maybe 3 weeks. And if you like it, you would adopt it fully. If it needs some tweaking, you adapt it. And if it's terrible, you just abandon it, start over, new change idea. And so we have a database where we're tracking change ideas so that we can see if those lead to better outcomes. And then at the end, the geek in me would love us to do some cross-referencing to see how many change ideas happen in a family that leads to an outcome that they're intending. Because I think then we can really show, hey, this works, and then we can say, pay us. Pay us more. We know it works.
So in what ways would it be important for other Black-led organizations to kind of adopt this thought process and this way of doing kind of the work that we do?
I think it should become a national model for how we serve Black families. I think we threaten Black families. I think we hold them accountable at a whole other level than anyone else gets held accountable to. And I think by giving people an opportunity to figure out how they can make change happen for themselves, I want us to host Change Your Life sessions, because everyone can put the little map out there and figure out how to make some shifts. That's how I finished my dissertation. I was like, what decision are you making?
We don't need Iyanla. We need Dr. Bahia.
What do you
That's
mean?
all we need, right?
But we need a national model for I mean, all Black organizations don't serve Black families well. And that's what we're trying to model. Like, you deserve to be served well. And so, like I say all the time, you can't do this work without joy. You can't beam love and light if you don't have any. So.
We're talking about serving, and we're talking about joy. We're in this beautiful space where we serve coffee. Can you describe your light bulb moment that we all looked at you like you were insane? Tell us about the moment that you realized that BPI should have a coffee shop.
Yes. So, yeah, everybody did look at me. And not just look, they said crazy things to me, too. You're going to have to work there. I thought about spaces. People talk a lot about third space, right? Your house, your job, and a third space. And most of our services are done in person, on site, at a school or at a home or in the doctor's office. Or we're not always doing stuff at our offices. If you go to SCI has their offices there, but they also do their services there. They have things happening in the space. And so a lot of people didn't know what we did because they never came to a space where they saw stuff happening. And so I thought, there are, I think, 6 maybe Black-owned coffee shops here in Portland. And given the day, you may not see any Black people in there. You might not see any Black baristas. I'm just saying, It's beautiful that they own the space, but the space isn't Black. Does that make sense? So not just me, actually. Me, V-Lynn, and Sean were across the street. And we had not rented, but we'd arranged to have a space for our staff because we didn't have enough space in our office to meet. And we met at the Boys and Girls Club. Shout out to Terry, who let us have the space for free. And then we needed to have a leadership meeting after that. And so we all stood across the street and we're like, man, when Elevated Coffee was here, we could have just walked over there and had our meeting at Elevated Coffee. And I was like, man, we need a space like that again. And we just sat there, and Veland's like, why can't we? And then Sean was like, I'm gonna call and find out. And so we were like, really? It's the only time I moved without my board knowing at first. I don't correct
think you're
that.
supposed to say that on
It's okay. It worked out. I did present it later, like, so I did a thing. What had happened was, and they were very excited about it. But I kept envisioning, like, think about a space for Black people to feel affirmed and welcomed, and that also sells coffee instead of a coffee shop, right? It's a community space that serves coffee. And so even we came in and we were talking to the muralist about what we wanted to have here. I was like, okay, we need a Black man. We don't see a lot of Black men on the walls. Big Black man, not a model, regular guy. I want him drinking coffee, thinking about his community and feeling restored. And that was the idea of this place, right? Restore your spirit one sip at a time, soulful sips. And so the idea is when Black children come in here, they go, this place is for me. They see Black books, they see Black children on the mural, and they go, I'm supposed to be here. This is my place. And what that can do for you when you feel like you are connected to a place is huge. And y'all just had to deal with me for a minute.
And we did. I know I had a couple conversations. I was like, so, you've never worked in a restaurant. How are we going to do this? But it worked, and we love it. So how does having the cafe and doing partnerships with like local businesses such as Kitchen Killer and Richland Hub and LeBon Tim's and DB Dessert Company, how is working with them and having this cafe, how is that impacting entrepreneurship and the economic growth for parents in the community?
So we want to highlight we want everybody to win. If my staff know that I'm always trying to find ways to pay them. I am an expert in side hustles, and so I really appreciate the entrepreneurial spirit. I think most black men, in my experience in Portland, just to be completely honest, who go into corporate spaces are going to hit a ceiling pretty quickly. I've seen black women move and matriculate through the county, through government, through corporate spaces, and they allow us to do that. Mm-hmm. And black men get to a certain point, and they're like, do we want to pay him that many zeros? So I definitely believe that for black men who really want to do well here, they need to have their own. Mm-hmm. And so, and I think in general, you got to have something going that you can pass down to your children. Even nonprofit, this is not mine, right? BPI is not mine. BPI is the community. I get to be part of stewarding it, but it's not mine. So I have my own business. Like, that's fine. So part of supporting the other businesses here is to, first of all, let them know that we're dreaming with you. We want to see you successful. We want to highlight you. We kind of, our philosophy is all black everything here. So our coffee is sourced from a Tanzanian roaster in Vancouver. Vlin found him, and he has Richland Hub, and he is the supplier of our coffee here from the motherland. DB Desserts, we have those, their pastries in our space. We have an Ethiopian manager here from Tigray who supplies us with African sodas and is thinking about having nights for Bona and connecting our communities through supporting that community as well. So I think for us, it's part of the vision of dreaming with our community is if we say we're about you, why would we not let you do a pop-up here? Why would we not let you, host something here and celebrate us? So this is really, it's part of the vision why we even opened it.
Right.
We wanted to support micro enterprise, right? Get the word out. You're gonna have, think about little girls and little boys. You have an idea, you have a business idea, come set up here and see if people like what you got. I think we want to. We have to model that, and I think that's why we try to support everybody local.
And how can people utilize the space that are not BPI staff?
Okay, so nobody acting crazy. I'm gonna say that right now. It is our space, but we don't own the building, so we can't damage the building. But we want to be able to rent it out to people to have community events. Outside of big parties, I think we don't want big giant parties, but I think all kinds of things that people can rent out for book clubs or poetry nights or whatever, birthday parties. We want this to be a community space that people use. And so that's one way that we can make money, yay. But also the community can use a space that's not too far out, that's affordable.
What's your favorite menu item?
Oh, speaking of local things, we have a tea. Is it chai tea? Is that what it is? Shai. Her name is Shai. Flora. We have a woman who made her own tea. I don't know what she did to this tea, but it's loose leaf tea and it is delicious. And that is my favorite thing right now that we hold is actually a local tea crafter. I forget what her name is. We got to find that out. But we have her tea, and that's probably my most favorite. Oh, look, they're showing it. That's probably my most favorite tea. Yeah, it's right there. It's delicious. What is it called? Floral bag. We don't know we find out her name. Floral bag. It's delicious. That's probably my favorite thing here. And also the peanut butter, or not peanut butter, it's the chocolate, what are those cookies? The cookie, the one. Toffee. Oh my God. Yeah. The toffee chocolate, it is wrong. It is so tasty. I have to stay, and it's big. I don't need that much cookie, and you'll want to eat the whole thing. That's from DB Desserts. DB Desserts. It's a toffee chocolate. It's chewy. It's not too sweet. It's ridiculous. So that's the other thing.
I love it.
It's ridiculous.
I love it. So as we are preparing for our 2026 gala, What does owning the narrative mean for you, or owning our narrative?
I'm so excited about this. You have to come and tell your friends. My mom always says, if you don't write your own story, somebody else will. And as you know, the story of Black life and experience, especially here in Portland, people always look at us from the outside and then project their perceptions of what we are and who we are, what we're capable of, and what our problems are. And I think we have to tell more of our own stories, and we have to change the narrative that is false about who we are as a people. The Ku Klux Klan was created because people were afraid that we were going to do to white people what they'd done to us. It's not even in the nature of who we are to do that. And so the idea that you created a whole vigilante gang to do something that was based on a narrative that was false from the beginning. These are the things that we continue to see with our prison industrial complex, with all these things that are happening, is a narrative about who we are as a people. And when we start to, what's his name? Randall, I forget his name, Richard Randall, Robert Randall. He wrote a book called Quitting America. Randall, I have to remember his last name. It's Randall, either the first name or last name. But one of the things that he said is the worst thing that you can do to a people is to rob them of the memory of themselves. And so I think for us, it is taking back the truth, right? The truth of who we are, and reminding everyone who we are, and being unapologetic about, the fact that, you guys imagine this, all that we have been through, all of the ways that, can you imagine if we could just think of life offensively without having to think about all the ways that, all the barriers, if we just go straight? If you think about how much we've been able to accomplish with every possible barrier, it's amazing that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We are amazing people. We are amazing people. And the fact that we've done so much, created so much, manufactured so much, and had a million barriers. And every time we learn the game, they change the rules. So I think knowing that story, telling our children that story, I think the children don't know whose shoulders they stand on, and that's why they're acting up. They need to understand the sacrifice. The youth that came to our symposium were blown away. They were like, why don't we know this? How come we didn't learn this? We need to get they want the knowledge, and we have to give it to them, and we can't be ashamed of what struggle we came through to get to where we are. We have to share that with them so they can appreciate it.
I love that. So the next in this series is going to be called The Art of Our Truth Telling. So what are creative ways that we as a people can utilize our truth telling or our story or changing the narrative to kind of continue to move the community forward?
That's a good question. I think that we're all creative in different ways. I think you have to think about what you're good at. Don't try to create in a area you're not good at, because people are like, what was that? I love art, but I can't draw, right? And so that's not the way that I'm going to express my truth. But I think that there are ways that your lived experience can tell a story that can help somebody. And we do that with birth stories, we do that with love stories, we do that with the stories that we pass down. And I think finding new ways, like I used to do guided meditations with my children, right? I was the best tucker inner ever. But guided meditations and just helping them close their eyes to go inward and to think about what's possible. Sometimes you close your eyes, you ask the kids, tell me what's in your room. They're like, my goldfish, my dresser. But you're making them take a process of introspection, right? My daughter used to lead guided meditations. You're walking on a path. You hear a dog barking in the path.
I can totally see her doing that.
Right? And she would help. And one of my friends just started giggling because it was just so cute. And she was like, do you need a moment? Do you need a moment? But just being able to use that to create even a guided imagery, right? And we have to imagine what is possible. I think helping people imagine, you ask children, they're talking about our children getting exposed to it's a poverty of words. So instead of saying, how was your day today, blah, 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 if you just beam love and light to them, that's it, for 2 weeks, I guarantee you're gonna see some behavior change. And you're like, oh my God, you're home. What was the most exciting thing? You got jokes. What happened today? What was funny, right? What about that one teacher who doesn't have any hair? Like something that makes them feel a certain level of magic. I was talking to Nikki about creating magic for kids. I think we can make our stories magical and true stories. Yeah, true stories.
I love that we do our book fair every year, and one of the biggest things that we focus on is the fact that we pick the books that are actually going to be carried in the store during that time, books that aren't usually in the store. But we ask our staff to submit like recommendations, and a lot of it is books that feature Black characters, Black authors in ways that we were never seen growing up. We didn't get to see astronauts and scientists and princesses, and we didn't see the grandparents being the primary caretakers in the home. So we always bring like a lot of different kinds of books, and so being able to showcase and being love and light through literature and literacy and all the things, it's like really big for us, and it's important. Like, you know, we killing that school to prison pipeline.
But I think also, you know, so for me, I read this article once that said that Disney princesses attributed to a lot of Black girls feeling insecure and having beauty, internalized issues of beauty. So we didn't do princesses with my daughter. We did.
They made us frogs.
Yeah, and then make us frogs. But what we did was I used to tell her, we do fairies in this house because fairies have powers and they can save themselves, you know. And so we had fairy parties, always fairy parties, or wizard parties, or, you know, it was always something that had power. And someone gave me a box of all the princesses, the clothing, you know, and it has all the Disney princesses. And so before she opened it, I cut off all their heads, right? Cut off all the faces. And so I told her, these are all magical fairy costumes, and each one of them has a special power, right? Which was good, except when I took her to Disneyland, and everybody was like, oh, yay, the Disney, you know, look at Snow White, everything. My daughter was like, Mom, remember the fairy who could run really fast? She's wearing that outfit right there. Right, so sometimes I think it's like, oh yeah, yeah. She didn't know any of them. She's like, you know. But part of it is creating that, right? That was magical for her, but that power wasn't lost on her, right? I would say that she's a magical test taker. I used to tell her, listen, this is a test that is culturally biased. And they're trying to cheat. I said, but you're smarter than the test maker. So what you have to do is you think, what did the test maker want white kids to do in this problem? What did the test maker, why did they think that would be the most important element in this paragraph? I said, see, you're smarter than the test maker. Do not think like a test taker. Think like the test maker, and you can outsmart the test maker. And so then I would tell her other little mini lies, like, if you eat a mint, it stimulates brain activity. I said, and then you have to say a prayer to your Aunt Nini, who is a mathematician, and she will give you the divine knowledge. So my daughter, literally, I used to tell her that.
She got a box of Altoids.
Listen, so I remember she was like in 8th grade, and she was like, I have my mint, my prayer to Aunt Nini, I'm ready to go. And I was like, we still doing this? Okay, like, you know. But it worked because we're finding ways to outsmart our oppressor. Ukukulambisa. If you ever think about that, the word ukukulambisa, it's a Xhosa word that means to outsmart your oppressor. And I think when we are stressed out, we don't think about ways to outsmart what is oppressing us. It could be the job, it could be multiple things, but we have to it's a creative way to change the narrative by telling our children that you're smarter than the test maker, by telling the children that this magical prayer to your Aunt Nini will give you divine inspiration. Whatever your ancestors are going to help you, whatever those things are, they are innovations. They are changing the narrative of what is possible for our kids. And if we can't be creative, why should they?
Right.
That's where learned helplessness comes from. That if you can't do it, why should I think that I can? So,
Right.
Yeah.
With our gala coming up.
Yes.
What is
Money.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I'll ask this question first. What is the one thing that BPI needs?
Money.
Well, I was not expecting that answer.
Money. Let me tell you, it's not just that we need money. The things that we want to do take money. We can't expand when we can't hire. We can't expand when we don't have we only have one van. Only so many kids you can take to expose them to something, or parents to come to something, if we only have one vehicle. So there's the ways that we need to expand. We can't expand in a vacuum. We are going to do magic work regardless, but we could do so much more.
I've got a headless fairy at home that helps me plan events.
Okay.
With the gala, what is something that you want people to take away from their experience with this? Because we're going kind of a different direction with things.
I think people come to, so I go to way more luncheons and galas than I'd ever want to go, and mostly it's dry, tasteless food. But I think
it won't be at ours.
Never at ours. But I think I just want, when Black people come to, well, anybody comes to our event, I think they are basked in Blackness. Everywhere else that I've gone is a nice gala, and there's a lot of Black people there sometimes, but it's not for them. Do you know what I'm saying? And for us, everything we do is very Black-centric. It's very much like it's rooted in Blackness, and I think that is a rare experience for people. For it to be called radical Black joy, and people find that a little bit off-putting sometimes, like radical Black joy. Yes, we are radically joyful about being Black. We love it, right? And so I think people should expect to feel celebrated and a lot of belonging. Visibility. You can go through this town and feel invisible. So they should feel like we see you, we value you, you are important to us in the spirit of Sawubona and Ubuntu, which is I am because we are. I think they'll feel that. I think they'll have tasty food. And I think they'll learn something. And I think people always learn something coming to our events. They take something away from that is centered in a Black experience. And so from the first one, when we had Chaka Sangor talked about his experience, to our call and response sing-alongs, to our BPI shuffle, so I think you're going to feel like homecoming and cookout and game night all together.
In a fancy dress.
In a fancy outfit. And you know, people, I tell you, Oregon is the place where ugly clothes come to retire. So when you see people come out and they put some things together, you're like, you don't look like you're just going to grab paint. Yay. That's how everybody tends to look in Portland. So yes, I think you're going to get a lot of that, and you're going to come away with something special.
I love it. Well, we will be announcing our speaker at our next event.
Woo.
So please make sure that you guys pay attention. Our next event will be January 31st. We'll be at the Louisa Space on MLK in Stanton. We will be featuring filmmakers and creatives and discussing the art of our truth telling. But the wonderful thing about tonight is our gala is Friday, May 29th. So please lock your calendars in. There are signs around here on the table. It has a QR code to our ticket link, which you can now purchase tickets at. But for 2 days only, it's live for 2 days. If you use that promo code, you get $100 off your ticket or $1,000 off your table. So I'm giving you 2 whole days to go back to your organizations and get that financial approval, to go ahead and get this special deal. We will have special deals going on throughout this series, but this is going to be the one of kind that happens for everybody that came here today. So make sure that you guys check it out. Make sure you lock it in. And keep a lookout because we'll be making more announcements, sponsorship packages coming soon. Our speaker, which we are really excited about announcing and taking everything in me not to say something right now. But y'all know who we had last year. We had the late, great Malcolm Jamal Warner, who blessed our stage. If y'all missed it, y'all missed it. It was amazing, his poem and everything that he talked about. We had Johnny Ray Gill. We had Renee Watson, the author from Portland, the New York bestseller, you know. They were all there. Dr. Joy led a nice panel discussion. So when you come to our gala, you come to a gala that's going to be blackety-black, lit, and it's got some special people there, aside from us, you know, because we're special. But please, if you guys will tell everybody, we'll do this replay later, but we will have some more events. Please grab some food. We've got to-go boxes. We've got drinks. We're going to be networking until 8 o'clock. So please, Dr. Bahia, where can we find BPI?
Where can we find BPI?
Like the Instagrams, the address,
all the things.
We have
you can do Soulful Sips on Instagram. You can do BPI, Sacred Roots, Together We Can, Sawubona, Black Family Connect. We got it. We're all on Instagram. Connect with any of our programs and think about ways that you'd like to partner with us. Some things you'd like to bring to community here, because we'd love to see you and we'd love to see what you're going to create for our community.
Our last event will be in March, and it will be an open house followed by a very nice exclusive evening. But our open house will be at our new space.
New space.
So you will get to tour the space, see everything that we're doing, and that announcement will be coming soon. So thank you guys for coming out, and
Thank
we
you.
appreciate y'all.
Yeah.